Hey guys, let's talk about Shinji from Neon Genesis Evangelion. So now that Evangelion has ended this August, I wanted to take the time to talk about the character of Shinji Ikari and why he's actually one of my favorite anime characters of all time. So before you go hate on me, I know that Shinji is, in the eyes of many, not the most beloved anime character. And there are a couple of reasons for it. He constantly complains about everything, mainly his father. He runs away all the time, only to come back afterwards. He's getting bullied by Asuka and is not able to defend himself. And in general, he seems like a character who is not able to make his own decisions. And therefore, a lot of people perceive him as an apparently weak character. But actually, there's more here that meets the eye. So first, I want to explain to you why Shinji is in fact not as weak as you might think. And in the rest of the video, I want to show you that Shinji is actually a deeply human and three-dimensional character, and therefore one of my favorite anime characters of all time. First, yes, he runs away and complains to Gendo about stepping into the Eva, but in the end, despite his complaints, he actually does get into the Eva. In the very first episode, he gets into the Eva in order to save Rei from her certain death, having a lot of pressure upon him. In the fourth episode, The Hedgehog's Dilemma, remember this title because it's going to be important for the rest of the video, after he saves Toji and Kensuke and having a mental breakdown as a result, he still doesn't leave Tokyo 3 and gets back into the Eva in order to fight the angels. There are a lot of other examples that I could mention here, but basically this is one major aspect against the notion that Shinji is in fact a weak character. There is one major storytelling rule by Robert McKee that I would like to read to you. True character is revealed in the choices a human being makes under pressure. The greater the pressure, the deeper the revelation, the truer the choice to the character's essential nature. In fact, he admits that he's scared, but he fights anyway. And for me, that does not make him weak. It actually makes him pretty strong. When the situation gets really dramatic and the pressure is on, Shinji is there to save the people he loves and cares about. If you argue that he's an annoying 14-year-old, then personally I wouldn't agree with you. Having the weight of the world on one's shoulders, it is only natural to complain and not wanting to accept one's fate. I mean, I'm 24 and I complain if my Yu-Gi-Oh cards get scratched in the mail, so... A good story needs a protagonist that is flawed. These imperfections, the things that people constantly complain about, are the things that for me make Shinji a really interesting character. What Shinji also is depressed, which brings me to my next point. He is an incredible, complex and human character, and this has multiple reasons. Looking at him as a character, he's very passive and cannot decide what he wants to do. He constantly listens to music, doesn't want to talk to others, and shies away if others want to be close to him. In episode 4, The Hedgehog's Dilemma, remember the title, it is explained that hedgehogs, when it is very cold outside and they want to warm themselves, they actually cannot do this because of their spur. For me, I wouldn't mind being close to a hedgehog despite the fur because I mean, not being able to bond with other people doesn't count for Shinji alone, mainly Asuka, but also characters like Gendo or Misato are all having problems bonding with people that they love. It is impossible for them to be close to each other because of their unwanted qualities. And this is why Shinji pushes people away who would otherwise want to be close to him. What Shinji really wants is to be loved by his father. And so he willingly steps into Eva 1 because he believes that if he does what he has been told to, then he will be able to reconnect with him. Sometimes we do things because we believe that other people will like us as a result. And I believe that this is just a very human feeling that we all had one time in our life. Another aspect which is impossible to overlook is Shinji's connection to its creator Hideaki Anno, who has suffered himself with mental depression and illness in the past. So actually, forget about the Evas, forget about the Human Instrumentality Project, forget about Nerf. Don't forget about Pen though, because he's like the coolest character in the show. At its core, Evangelion is a show about mental issues, accepting that we are all flawed in some way, and finally, after realizing the circumstance, trying to overcome it. Anno and Shinji are pretty much the same when it comes to their inner problems, which is why Shinji is more like a human character to me. The third reason, and I guess this is a little bit cheating, are the different installments of Evangelion and how Shinji has coped with all his problems throughout the show and the films. In the original anime, which is actually my favorite ending, Shinji is able to overcome the fear and self-hatred that turmoils in him. He strips down his own self, only to realize that if he is able to change, a bright and loving future lies ahead. In the end of Evangelion, he rejects the hands reaching out to him. There's a scene between Kaoru, Rei and Shinji that actually shows that pretty well. In the end, he's not able to overcome the self-hatred and depression that has consumed him by now. There is, however, a glimmer of hope when Asuka stripes his face when he chokes her, but ultimately it's too late. He's not able to change anymore. In Thrice Upon Time, which came out in late August, he's finally able to believe in the words of others who deeply believe in him. What I really like about this ending is that he faces Gendo's rationality, showing him that we need both love and pain instead of just erasing pain entirely. Probably the most uplifting ending, Shinji looks into a future in which he seems to be capable of coping with all the internal struggles that come along the way. The show, and this ending in particular, shows that despite unwanting qualities of others, at the end of the day, being close to someone despite the pain is worth living. At the end, I believe that Shinji, similar to Anno, is finally able to close this dark chapter of his life and is able to move on. All of these endings throughout the last 20 years not only reflected Anno's mental state, they also exemplify how much of a deeply human and complex character Shinji is. For me, Shinji will always be a great protagonist that I will see differently every time I decide to watch the show, simply because I will change. The show, how you will perceive Shinji, will be entirely up to you. And I think that's really cool about art, because if it's great, it's something different for everybody. Until then, I hope you're doing alright, Hideaki Anno. And for now, goodbye to all of Evangelion. Yeah. So what do you think about Shinji as a character? Do you like him? Do you hate him? What do you think about the show? Did you like the ending? Did you like 3.0 plus 1.0? Please let me know in the comments down below. That would be really cool to talk about. And also, if you want, you can like and subscribe to the channel if you want to. Yeah, that's it. That was a very controversial topic to start an anime channel. Next week, I'm going to talk about why Dragon Ball Evolution is actually the best anime film of all time. Just kidding. See you guys next week. I wanted to take the time to talk about... Oh, so one of my light panels died 1 minute throughout the video. Off to a good start, I would say.